Hey, so everybody's favorite Democrat, Adam Kinzinger, did this thread about Ray Epps. So I feel like I'm going to briefly read through it and address some things. So he says, I know it'll break some hearts, but for a few months, people like Tucker Carlson, MTG, Gates, and now Cruz have been just asking questions about a man named Ray Epps. He was on video the day before January 6th saying, we're going into the Capitol, and some people in the crowd chanted, Fed, Fed, Fed. Why? Who knows? Maybe they were trying to create distance, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you're saying, well, let me read the next one. 3. Regardless, he was put on the FBI wanted list, then removed. Because of that, the conspiracy that he was an FBI agent has been gospel on the blogs and shows. Side note, this is why we have to address conspiracies, not ignore them. Now, in addition to missing a comma there, it's important to point out that conspiracy theories probably should be referred to as their new name, spoiler alerts, because that's what they are. When you Democrats refer to something as a conspiracy theory, it's pretty much a spoiler of what's to come. So beyond that, you're saying that he committed no crime, so he's removed from the FBI's most wanted list, as you say here in number 4. He didn't enter the Capitol on January 6th and was removed from the most wanted list because apparently he broke no laws. So, couple things. Number 1, your whole thing is suggesting that this was a pre-planned insurrection trying to overthrow the government, but provoking people the night before by going around to different groups and telling them that the next day the plan is to break into the Capitol regardless of the restrictions preventing them from doing so is not a crime. Beyond that, you impeached the President of the United States for inciting the riot when he specifically said you need to demonstrate peacefully and never suggested illegally entering the Capitol. You suggested that it was a crime and it was incitement. This guy literally said that we need to break the law and break into the Capitol, and you're saying that that wasn't a crime. So that's obviously pretty telling. Additionally, I would point out that people who didn't enter the Capitol have still been charged and in some cases convicted with crimes for simply being on the Capitol grounds. One woman in particular, whose name escapes me at the moment, never actually entered the Capitol, but was nonetheless charged for being on Capitol grounds, where Ray Epps is on video as the Capitol the surrounding fences were breached. Secondly, or I don't even know what number I'm on, you say you're pretty sure the FBI wouldn't be dumb enough to put their own agent on a wanted list. Ray Epps has cooperated with the January 6th committee, and we thank him. When you say cooperated, did he testify under oath? Because that would be an important distinction. Also, the FBI wouldn't be dumb enough to put their own person on a wanted list. This same FBI that sent, 12 people who were either agents or informants on a mission of 14 people total to kidnap a sitting governor, a couple of those agents of which have subsequently been arrested for beating their wives or various other infractions. The same FBI that did all of those things and everything else that we're more than aware of is too smart and effective and efficient and intelligent to put their own person, their own informant on a wanted poster. Okay. On the broader issue, let's say Ray Epps was an agent. He is not. Oh, I like how you say that with such force. Those capitals really make you tough on Twitter, buddy. The premise is that one agent can gin up a crowd to insurrection. That isn't saying much about the intelligence of your voters, is it, Ted? The rioters had formal education, owned businesses, etc. They knew. Nobody is suggesting that this one guy is the key to everything. The one guy went around and suggested people break into the Capitol, and everybody was just brainwashed, and they just did it. The only people who are capable of brainwashing people to that extent is pretty much what CNN and MSNBC do to liberals, but it takes months and weeks of repeated, repetitive programming to do that. It's not as simple as walking up to them and whispering in their ears, wear 2 masks. It's a lot more complicated than that. So, that being said, I would point out that nobody has even suggested that. The indication that one person may have been an informant or may have been working for the federal government in some capacity doesn't necessarily mean that one person is the sole individual responsible for ginning up the crowd, just that they were obviously part of a larger operation, which is the entire argument you're trying to refute without actually saying it, because you don't want to admit that there's plenty of circumstantial evidence to suggest that that is a realistic possibility. An FBI informant is someone that is paid by or turned by law enforcement as they build broader cases. Informants are usually criminals that turn to save their own butt. An informant is not an agent, but Ted wants you to think it is. Ray is no informant either. Nobody is saying he's one or the other. Nobody knows. That's the point. When you start this thing off by saying in quotes, they've been just asking questions, and you put it in quotes as if, I don't even know, what are you trying to imply? That by just asking questions, we're making a direct allegation? If that was the case, then why would you say, by your own admission, that there are two different possibilities, that he's an informant or that he's an agent? Obviously, nobody has the answers to these questions, which is why we're, quote, just asking questions, unquote. The narrative on January 6th that has been that it's first Antifa, or patriots who love their country, maybe crisis actors, definitely false flag operatives, or now FBI agents. Take your pick. Truth is, they were rioters incited by lies. And Ray is no Fed, just another misled man. Again, you're not saying anything anybody disputes. Nobody knows. Nobody's making a claim that they have the answers. The entire purpose of asking questions is to find those answers. You and your fraud of a committee aren't asking those questions. You're asking whatever commissions put you and the rest of your Democrat brethren in place to create the most effective campaign ads come campaign season. And while it might break hearts, it's true. So many are misled by so few. Just look up. All right. I think you guys get the point. He gave a lot of non-information here. Not only did he himself mislead with this nonsensical thread, but he also kind of told you some truth. The way that he worded certain things by not saying whether or not Ray Epps had testified under oath, but simply was interviewed by claiming that he refuses, or rather, he refutes any claims that he works for the FBI. He's not saying that they verified. He's not saying they've spoken to the FBI. If this guy doesn't work for the FBI and hasn't been an informant or isn't in some way related to the federal government in some capacity, why won't the officials in charge just say so? You're acting as if this is proof when it's anything but. All it is a criminal denying that he's a criminal. By this logic, OJ obviously didn't kill Nicole. Hey, he said he didn't do it. Oh, you know what? You guys didn't do it? Sorry, we'll let you out of prison tomorrow. But then again, Adam Kinzinger is just another Democrat, so that's the sort of logic I would expect out of him when it comes to criminal justice.